New data from the 2020 census reveals something that shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Americans love freedom. That's right. New census numbers show Americans are fleeing lockdown states with shuttered economies and closed schools at a staggering rate. According to the statistics, states with the harshest pandemic lockdown measures lost the greatest amount of residents. With New York losing the most, more than 300,000 residents fled the state for greener pastures during the pandemic, myself included. And California wasn't too far behind. The Golden State lost more than 260,000 residents and a U.S. House seat for the first time in history. And to put it all into perspective, Texas gained more than 300,000 residents within the same time period. Here with reaction is New York Post columnist Karol Markowicz, my fellow pioneer to the state of Florida. I'm just glad that you're going to be here so we can hang out. But welcome, you're hanging out tomorrow.
I mean, you were, you were an early adopter. I'm just following your lead.
No, we're just two wise people coming to a free state. You know, Karol, I want you to take a listen to this. So Eric Adams, the newly minted mayor, it looks like he's keeping vaccine mandates. Listen.
Today, the mandate goes into effect for the entire private sector in New York City, all employers. This is how we get people vaccinated.
We are going to keep that in place. We spoke with our business leaders today to let them know we're going to keep that in place.
You know, so Karol, what do you think this means for what kind of mayor Eric Adams is going to be? He's keeping the vaccine mandate in place for businesses.
I think it's a really bad sign. I am encouraged with his comments on policing, on crime, but this is, I think, a really big mistake. It hasn't worked. I mean, it would be a different story if New York was having the lowest case rate in the country. I still wouldn't think it was right from a freedom perspective, but if we were winning this thing, if we were somehow beating COVID through these mandates, it would be a different conversation. But New York has astronomical numbers right now. Everybody has it. It's like everywhere you go, everybody's talking about how everybody that they know have it. The mandates simply haven't worked. So they're just an undue burden on businesses. For example, you know, the vaccine mandates begin from 5 years old. A lot of countries don't even have vaccination for 5 to 11-year-olds yet. They're discouraged from coming to visit New York. It's really going to have an impact on tourism. It's absolutely going to have an impact on the restaurant industry. And these are all really important things for New York City to bounce back. And I still root for New York. I mean, I might be a Floridian, you know, starting this week, but I really do root for New York to come back, and I don't think it comes back with these ridiculous mandates.
Although I love how they all hate on Florida, and then you've got like AOC visiting here, and then when she's criticized, she's like, "Oh, everyone just wants to date me." That's why they're criticizing.
Yeah, she's having the best time. I mean, the pictures, she's having like this amazing trip. I'm jealous.
Well, and as you will very soon, because you're about to be a Floridian as well. You know, I also want to look ahead at the midterm elections. You know, by all accounts, the Democrats are expected to take quite the drubbing, with many saying that a red wave is all but imminent. You know, so far we've got 23 House Democrats have seen the writing on the wall and have decided to not seek re-election. I mean, what do you think is ahead for Democrats heading into the midterm elections? How bad do you think this is going to be for them?
I think it looks pretty bad. I think the moment that we're in right now is so many Americans have had enough of the insanity around COVID restrictions. I really do think it's driving this. So, you know, right now in New York City, schools return tomorrow. A lot of schools are already talking about not coming back. Some schools are having sick outs. I mean, where's Joe Biden? You know, where is the president who said that he wants schools to reopen? And he's not saying a word about any of this. And I think Americans really hear that silence. They see that absence. He's constantly out of the office. He's constantly back in Delaware. He's on vacation. He leaves at the worst times. And I think a lot of that is really coming into play here. Everything has gotten very expensive. Some things are hard to find. It's all just one large issue emanating from the White House. The border crisis, I mean, all of it is just the administration seems completely out to lunch and is not speaking to the needs of everyday Americans whatsoever. So I think that if and when the Democrats do take a drubbing, it will be because of this administration. It'll be because of Joe Biden. It'll be because of Kamala Harris and their relative absence from the national stage.
You know, so I'm glad you're coming here because you're a conservative. I'm a conservative. You know, we know how we're going to be voting.
Yeah.
But one concern I have is, you know, you have a lot of Democrats and a lot of leftists that are leaving New York for Florida, you know, California for Texas, who are bringing that ideology with them, that are still going to vote for these same failed policies that led to these failed states like New York and California. What do you think the political impact of this mass migration is going to be on states like Florida and Texas?
Yeah. You know, I have faith. I really do. I think a lot of the people that are moving to these free states know what they're leaving, and they know what led them there. Look, I honestly, a lot of the open schools activists in New York City are on the left, but a lot of them who are leaving really understand what went wrong with their city. It's not like they don't realize what happened. So we have to kind of give these people space to come over to the right and to explain, you know, what went wrong, where they're from, how things will be different in their new locations. I spoke to Governor DeSantis about this last year. He wasn't particularly concerned. He saw a lot of conservatives moving into Florida from various states. I'm not super worried about that because I do think that people learn their lessons, and moving to another state, picking up your family, relocating, that's a really big deal. And I think people really get what happened in the states that they're leaving behind.
Well, Karol, drinks for us soon near the beach, and I hope you have a very safe trip to Florida. Can't wait to see you. Yep, smart decision,
Thank you so much.
I promise you.
Thank you, Lisa.